Oh my goodness, mother-in-law, are you really showing up to your husband's burial in that tacky outfit? Tiffany Albright's sharp words sliced through the quiet hush of the chapel, hitting like a stinging blow. It's mortifying. You come across as a total have-not. Suddenly, everyone's gaze locked onto me. My modest, refined black gown, picked out on purpose for its subtle charm, had clearly rubbed my daughter-in-law the wrong way. Little did she realize that this so-called bargain find had set me back a whopping $80,000. "Tiffany, enough. We're here to bid farewell to Dad," murmured Marcus, my boy, his tone tight with discomfort. Yet my daughter-in-law was already captivating the crowd. "No, Marcus," somebody needed to point it out. "I deal in luxury shops. I spot real elegance a mile away. And this," she jabbed a finger at my dress with obvious scorn, "this screams discount bin. Your mom lacks any sophistication." Her pals Candace and Naomi bobbed their heads in agreement like obedient followers, muttering to each other. The wave of judgment rippled across the benches. I stayed quiet, fingers intertwined, acting as if her barbs truly wounded me. "Poor Elias," Tiffany went on, her tone rising dramatically. "He's probably spinning in his casket, watching his wife show up without the decency to wear something proper for his farewell. What a disgrace for all of us." Moisture gathered in my eyes, but it wasn't grief. It was bottled-up fury threatening to spill. How dare this woman shame me on the hardest day I'd ever faced, oblivious to the fact that I owned the exact label she slaved away for as a simple clerk. "Just check her out," she kept up her show. "She can't even spring for a halfway decent outfit. Marcus, maybe you ought to slip your mom some cash so she can grab something fitting." I grinned to myself. If only she had a clue about my wardrobe stuffed with over 200 high-fashion pieces, or that my savings overflowed with more zeros than calendar days, and that her termination notice was already prepared in my executive suite. My daughter Belle softly squeezed my elbow and breathed, "Mom, ignore her. She's just mean." But I craved more. I wanted Tiffany to bury herself deeper in her career-ending hole. "You realize what, Marcus?" Tiffany turned her theatrics full force on her spouse. "Once we start a family, I pray our kids don't turn out anything like your mom. So downright ordinary." She shot me a condescending glance. "Gaze at her. She hasn't a clue about appropriate attire for a moment like this." The chuckles from her buddies escalated. Candace even chimed in boldly, "Spot on, Tiff. I'm in the fashion game myself, and that getup tops out at maybe $100. If they had any idea that just the mother-of-pearl fasteners on my gown ran $500 apiece. "Right on, Candace," Tiffany shot back. "That's exactly why I call her classless. At my store, we serve refined customers. Ladies who get true style and poise, you know." She waved dismissively in my direction. My son Marcus shifted awkwardly, clearly uneasy, but he held his tongue. Par for the course. He'd always shrunk from challenging his spouse. "Tiffany, stop it right there," Belle cut in at last, her words carrying more edge. "No, it's fine," I finally spoke up, my tone fragile and wavering. "She's got a point. I don't grasp these fancy matters the way she does." Tiffany beamed with victory. "Good, you're owning it. Listen, mother-in-law, it's not your doing that you grew up without style, but at least try not to drag the family's name through the mud out here." Her companions clapped softly in support. Naomi tossed in some phony compassion. "Ah, the dear. It has to sting, lacking the means for proper clothes." "Spot on," Tiffany pressed ahead, gaining steam. "Picture arriving at your spouse's memorial looking like you're dashing off to a discount store for errands. She simply lacks any savvy." The hushed critiques swelled across the space. I caught snippets. Such a pity. That unfortunate lady. How cringeworthy. Ideal. The wider the audience for this spectacle of embarrassment, the more satisfying my payback would feel. "And get a load of those heels," Tiffany persisted, zeroing in on my timeless black stilettos. They seemed straight out of a swap meet. Heavens, in her place, I'd hide indoors from the shame. Those stilettos were a bespoke $12,000 creation, but she'd never guess. Here's the thing, mother-in-law, she drawled patronizingly, bending closer to me. I get that cash is tight for you, but if you ever need gear for a big event next time, I could loan you an item from my collection. I've got hooks at the top spots. The twist was pure gold. This lady pulling in scarcely $3,000 monthly peddling my designs in my establishment was proposing to outfit me if she only realized I was the one who approved her salary. How thoughtful, Tiffany, I answered in a quivering murmur, but I hate to impose on you. No imposition at all. Call it good-hearted kindness, she fired back with a phony grin. It's what anyone with manners would offer. Her friends, they murmured their agreement. Even Candace chimed in, saying, Tiff, you're a saint. Few folks would show such kindness to someone so restricted. Restricted. That term lingered in my thoughts. Little did they realize my restrictions encompassed controlling 17 upscale shops, 3 fabric mills, and assets surpassing $100 million. On top of that, Tiffany continued, speaking to the whole group now, we could all take a cue from this. The value of schooling, of chasing dreams, of avoiding anything less than excellence. The subtle clapping showed she'd nailed her aim, transforming my spouse's memorial into her platform for ethical dominance. Poor Elias, she dramatized with a sigh. He constantly fretted over his mother-in-law. He'd mentioned not knowing how she'd cope once he was gone. He got one part correct. My departed husband did fret about me, though not in the ways she pictured. He recognized my compassion ran deep, that I pardoned too readily. He'd often remind me, Serafina, once I'm no longer around, don't allow anyone to walk all over you. That moment had come. Following the display Tiffany orchestrated at the service, I headed back in my 2015 Honda Civic, a vehicle I'd picked on purpose to uphold my image as a destitute, vulnerable, bereaved woman. In reality, my concealed garage housed a Bentley, a Mercedes S-Class, and a Porsche that stayed under wraps. Yet for now, I had to persist as the Serafina they all believed in. The rough-edged in-law, the resourceless widow, the lady who, per my daughter-in-law, lacked any hint of sophistication. Reaching my humble flat, I kicked off my $12,000 heels and uncorked a glass of wine. Not ordinary stuff, but a rare Bordeaux worth $5,000 per bottle. To outsiders, though, I was the type who grabbed bargain wine boxes from the supermarket. My cell buzzed. It was Belle, my girl. Mom, I feel awful about today's mess. Tiffany was awful. It's fine, honey, I answered wearily. Her remarks don't faze me anymore. But it's wrong, Mom, pulling that at Dad's burial. It's cruel. Belle remained unaware of my wealth. I'd chosen long ago to shield my kids from it. That approach felt secure, simpler, and let me gauge those nearby authentically. I'll confront Marcus in the morning, Belle pressed on. He can't tolerate his spouse disrespecting you like that. No, honey, hold off. I won't stir up issues in their union. Still, the storm was already gathering. Tiffany had no clue, but her boss would field a pointed call the following day. Once the line went dead, I entered my hidden office, a space my offspring never suspected, concealed by an ordinary-looking bookcase. Inside waited my real valuables, deals for my enterprises, ledgers for my stores, and naturally staff records for every worker, including Tiffany Albright, level 2 salesperson at my main outlet, earning $3,000 monthly base plus bonuses. I pulled her dossier and scanned the details. 3 alerts for lateness, 2 gripes from shoppers over her haughty demeanor, and a manager's note on her unjustified sense of entitlement. Ideal. I grabbed my confidential line, reserved solely for work, and rang Janice, my personnel chief. Ms. Coleman, my deepest condolences for your grief, Janice offered sincerely. Appreciate it, Janice, but I require your help with something private tomorrow. Absolutely. Just say the word. Tiffany Albright, staffer at the City Center shop. Please scrutinize her record from the past 6 months thoroughly. Any particular concerns? She's shown outright disdain for patrons, which I won't abide in my organization. Janice grasped it fully. She'd collaborated with me for 15 years and recognized that voice meant business. Got it. Shall I compile papers for penalties? Gather it all, but hold until the timing fits. After the call ended, I settled into my fine Italian leather seat and pondered the occurrences. Tiffany's overt shaming was merely the starter. She couldn't fathom she'd just picked a fight with the incorrect opponent. My late Elias frequently noted my excessive mercy, my patience. Serafina, he'd stress, certain individuals mistake niceness for frailty, and then you must show them otherwise. Over our 40-year union, he'd served as my safeguard. Elias was in on my ventures. He acted as my quiet collaborator, my top confidant. We erected our realm from nothing, ever lurking in the background, ever posing as an everyday modest household. But Elias could no longer shield me from snakes like Tiffany. From here on, I'd defend myself, employing the flair only a 70-year-old with 5 decades in commerce could muster. The following morning, as Tiffany boasted online about her benevolent deed, while I was still reeling from the insincere offer of her hand-me-downs, I found myself back in my corner office, poring over the financials from each of my businesses. My longtime aide, the capable Estelle, who'd served me loyally for 2 decades, entered carrying a tray of coffee. "Here are the quarterly summaries, Ms. Coleman," she announced, setting down a stack of papers on my polished mahogany workspace. "What's the performance like at the City Center store? Strong figures this period. The latest lines have been hugely popular among shoppers and the team." Estelle paused briefly. "But there are a couple of issues needing your eye. Go on." Tiffany Albright's been involved in multiple run-ins with customers. It seems she's been judging who qualifies to purchase specific items. Fascinating. Not only had my son's wife already insulted me, but now she was scaring off buyers with her elitist demeanor. What else? The surveillance footage shows some dubious actions. She's been glued to her cell phone for extended stretches on the clock, shows up late repeatedly, and just yesterday she was spotted snapping pictures of inventory she hadn't paid for. Each detail hammered another blow into her career's demise. "Estelle, please arrange a session with me next Friday involving the full leadership from the downtown shop. Any particular agenda?" For the first time since Elias's memorial, a grin crossed my face. It's due for some staff adjustments. The days following the burial played out like a flawless display of familial pretense. Tiffany seized every chance to broadcast her supposed benevolence toward me, flaunting her closet and her ties to high-end designers. Come Wednesday, my phone rang with Marcus on the line. My boy. "Mom, Tiffany mentioned she stepped up to assist with your clothing needs." "Yes, she was quite gracious," I answered meekly. "Listen, I get that Dad managed the money side and it has to be rough for you these days, if cash is short." How absurd, my child suggesting aid when I could snap up his home with the funds tucked in my private vault. "No need to fret, Marcus. Your dad's retirement check will see me through." "You positive? Tiffany pointed out your place seems rather plain, and your outfits." "She's spot on. I lack her keen sense for trends." I detected the glee in his tone. True, she's a pro at it. She holds down a job at one of the priciest shops in town, and her superiors count on her big time. Little did he realize I was precisely the authority they relied on. "She sounds exceptional," I whispered. "She is, actually. Word is she's in line for a step up. Her boss hinted at a possible shift to assistant manager." Curious. Janice had said zilch about any advancement for Tiffany. Clearly my daughter-in-law was spinning tales to dazzle her husband. Thrilled for her, Marcus. "Yeah, and get this, Mom. Once that promotion hits, our income jumps, and we can pitch in for you more regularly. Heck, we might even drag you to some upscale spots for a proper shop." Every syllable from him sliced deeper. How could I have nurtured a son so oblivious to his spouse's spite? "That's thoughtful of you, dear." Once the call ended, I buzzed Estelle without delay. "Estelle, dig up any chatter about a raise for Tiffany Albright." "Nothing at all, Miss Coleman. Actually, her immediate boss, Diane, confided yesterday she's mulling a warning period over how she treats patrons. Ideal. And the dossiers you requested. Prepared, ma'am. Logged events, video clips, and statements from upset buyers regarding her conduct. Outstanding job. One additional task. Quietly probe into Tiffany and Marcus's private finances. Earnings, outlays, liabilities, the works. Estelle didn't pry. 2 decades by my side had taught her that when I sought someone's ledger, there was purpose behind it. By Thursday evening, the findings landed on my desk, surpassing even my hopes. Marcus and Tiffany were way overspending. Their rental ran $3,500 monthly, dwarfing Tiffany's paycheck. They carried over $40,000 in card balances, a $22,000 auto debt, and had begged for an early payout from the store just last month. Yet the juiciest bit. They'd sought a loan for a $250,000 property, banking on Tiffany's supposed upcoming bump and pay hike as security. Their ideal nest, the life they'd mapped out. It all hinged on a climb that would never happen. Friday dawned sooner than anticipated. I slipped into my sleekest, most refined business ensemble, a sleek black Chanel set from my Paris trip the prior year, accented by genuine Mikimoto pearls, subtle, no ostentation, though any style-savvy observer would clock the craftsmanship instantly. Promptly at 10 a.m., I pulled up to the downtown boutique, my boutique. "Good morning, Ms. Coleman." Diane, the floor lead, welcomed me with my wedded surname, as per custom, in public. "The supervisors are holding out for you in the back room." I strolled across the shop floor, taking in all the little things. The staff hustled efficiently, handling shoppers with polish and poise, everyone but her. Tiffany lounged against the display case, chatting away on her mobile and cackling uproariously. Her outfit hung rumpled, her cosmetics were slathered on thick, and her vibe clashed totally with the upscale vibe of my venue. "Honey, you won't even guess this," she blurted into the receiver. "My husband's mom is such a joke. I promise Marcus mentioned yesterday that we could drag her out for outfits once I snag that promotion. Picture trying to school a 70-year-old lady on style basics." She chuckled at her own meanness as a shopper stood there, waiting nicely to get assisted. I'm employed at the poshest shop around town. My superior's awesome. She counts on me big time. Actually, she's bumping me up to assistant supervisor come next week, one fib after another. Intriguing. Anyway, my mother-in-law turned up at her spouse's memorial looking like she scraped her getup from a donation bin. Honest, it seemed like she'd snagged her frock from Burlington. I felt embarrassed for her just watching. The pending buyer shifted over to a different station, obviously irked by the ignored service. And get this, the best bit. Tiffany rambled on, tuned out to the world. She genuinely believes that getup was chic. The sad elderly woman hasn't a clue about genuine trends. That's when I chose to step closer. "Pardon me," I murmured gently. Tiffany spun around and spotted me for an instant, probably since she'd never caught me in proper attire before. "Hey, mother-in-law, what's bringing you here?" she queried, muffling the phone with her palm, obviously peeved by the break-in. "I'm here for a bit of retail therapy," I answered sweetly. "Marcus handed me some cash and suggested you could guide me to something fitting." Her demeanor flipped right then. The thought of schooling me on fashion clearly thrilled her. "Awesome, gotta run," she said to her pal. "Need to stop my mother-in-law from embarrassing herself further." She clicked off the call and scanned me from top to bottom with hardly hidden scorn. "Okay, mother-in-law. Step 1. Set a spending limit. How much cash did Marcus hand over? Stuff here's not bargain bin. It's nothing like that swap meet you hit up usually." "Marcus gave me $500. I fibbed. Tiffany snickered. $500. Lordy. At this place, $500 hardly covers some studs. But okay, we'll scrape by with that pittance. She guided me over to the trinkets area, the bargain corner of the place. "Check it, mother-in-law. These wraps are discounted. $200 a piece, yet they're quite lovely. They might lend a dash of sophistication to your look." She snatched one wrap and dangled it my way with smug superiority. Notice the silk's finesse. That's genuine refinement, unlike the scraps you typically throw on. The wrap in her grip came from my previous year's spring line. I'd overseen every bit of its creation myself. It's quite stunning, I conceded. Exactly. I've got a sharp sense for this stuff. No wonder my higher-ups are advancing me. They spot my skills. Right then, Diane came over. "Tiffany, Miss Coleman's expecting you in the office." Tiffany went a bit ashen. Miss Coleman, my superior's on site. "Yep, she got here shortly ago. Urgent business," she mentioned. I spotted the alarm in Tiffany's gaze. "But I'm assisting a patron. I'll handle the customer." Diane stepped in smoothly. Tiffany shot me an irritated glance. "Mother-in-law, I've got a crucial job thing popping up. I'll swing back shortly to resume aiding you." "Sure thing, sweetie. Handle your big duties." I observed her anxiously heading off to the upper-level offices, blissfully ignorant she was marching right into her career's downfall. As Tiffany jittered upstairs to the room where she figured I'd be conferring with her like a staffer, I lingered below, relishing the twist of it all. Diane, my reliable overseer, sidled up with a sly grin. "How'd the show go, madam?" she whispered. "Smoother than anticipated. That lady just nailed her own downfall with her chatter. The cameras nabbed the whole call and her rudeness to you. Should I head up now? Hold off a tad longer. I want her sweating bullets over my whereabouts." In the meantime, I opted to wander my boutique, checking its operations sans my obvious oversight. The team operated with expertise, tending to each visitor politely and expertly, save for the one who'd just ascended. I neared one of the newer clerks, a young woman called Chloe, whom I'd brought on board half a year back. "Sorry to bother," I said, acting like an everyday buyer. "What's your take on the help from that gal who was around earlier, the one with the ringlets?" Chloe glanced up edgily before replying. "You mean Tiffany?" "Yeah, I figured that must have been her name." The young woman paused briefly, looking uneasy. "Anyway, it's not for me to judge my coworkers. I'm merely interested." She came across as so assured. "Listen, madam, I'd prefer to assist you instead. What would you like?" Her tact really caught my attention. She embodied the kind of staff member I truly appreciated, polished, reserved, and devoted. "Truth is, I'm simply here awaiting a friend." "But go on. How long have you been on the team?" "Half a year. It's my initial role in high-end fashion, and I'm absolutely hooked." "How's the atmosphere around here?" Chloe shot another look at the staircase. "The majority of my teammates are fantastic, polished, supportive, always ready to lend a hand." But then she faltered. "I probably shouldn't mention it, though certain folks believe a spot like this entitles them to mistreat others. Like the store's prestige has inflated their egos. That confirmed my suspicions. Have you witnessed any particular incidents?" "Sure, I've noticed staff sizing up shoppers based on looks before attending to them, as though they're gatekeeping who qualifies to buy. That's totally contrary to our training guidelines. And what exactly did the training cover? It stressed that every patron merits equal courtesy and focus, no matter their outfit or vibe. Our leader, Ms. Coleman, insists real sophistication stems from courtesy and modesty, not haughtiness." A surge of satisfaction filled me. At least my principals were reaching the right people, the ones worth retaining. "Your superior seems like a sharp lady." She really is, even though I've yet to meet her face to face. The buzz around her is non-stop. Word is, she climbed from humble beginnings and erected this powerhouse through diligence and strong ethics. Right at that moment, Tiffany appeared from the stairs, her face etched with bewilderment. She headed straight my way. "Mother-in-law, hasn't anybody helped you?" "What dreadful attention," she huffed, obviously irked at not locating her superior above. "This fine assistant has been treating me splendidly," I responded, nodding at Chloe. Tiffany eyed Chloe with clear contempt. "Ah, the newbie. She knows zilch. I'm the pro around here. I've got seniority and deeper know-how." Chloe faded back quietly, yet her gaze revealed she grasped Tiffany's true nature all too well. "Did you track down your manager?" I inquired with feigned naivety. Nope, looked like she had to dash off, but no big deal. Likely she just wanted to chat about my advancement anyway. She consults me on all the key stuff. The fabrications piled up. In the interim, perhaps we can resume browsing outfits for me. Absolutely, mother-in-law. But hold on, I've got something key to share. Once I'm elevated to supervisor, I'll roll out major shifts, particularly in how we handle guests. Like what? Say, I'll introduce a client attire policy. We can't allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry to stroll in wearing whatever. This is upscale fashion, not some discount depot. Each phrase exposed more. And if folks fall short of your standards, oh, I gently steer them to outlets better suited to their station. It's beneficial for all. The genuine buyers get uneasy around those who obviously don't fit. Fascinating viewpoint, I whispered. Precisely. My leader will beam with approval at how I elevate the shop's prestige. Bet she'll toss in extra pay for my ideas. She guided me to the priciest area, the exclusive line of my own designs, in a twist of fate. Check these out, mother-in-law. They're stunning, but clearly beyond your means. Prices run from $5,000 to $15,000 apiece. She lifted one of my top picks, a shimmering champagne frock adorned with intricate stitching. Observe this craftsmanship. That's genuine haute couture. I've got a twin at my place, courtesy of a major customer bowled over by my expertise. Yet another falsehood. Staff were banned outright from taking gifts, and I scrutinized every transaction log myself. It's exquisite, I conceded, running my fingers over the material. Indeed, though it's hardly suited to you, let's hunt for options more grounded, aligning with your everyday look. She ushered me to a rear corner stocked with discounted holdovers from prior lines. These fit your budget better. See, this slate frock is slashed to $400, ideal for someone your years. That garment was from my line, sure, but a relic from 3 years back, one I'd axed for failing my benchmarks. Your take on this one, I probed. To be frank, it's nothing special, but for your type, it works. You lack the build or aura for the elite selections. Her remarks stung, though not in the way she imagined. It pained me that such a callous, shallow individual repped my firm and its ideals to the world. You know, Tiffany, I declared at last, you're spot on about my fashion sense falling short. She beamed with victory. I'm pleased you see it that way. It's the initial move toward getting better. But I've got a single query. What if somebody acted destitute while secretly being wealthy? How would you handle someone like that? Tiffany chuckled. Oh, mother-in-law, that's pure movie stuff. Wealthy folks don't wander about posing as broke. It's absurd. But let's say, just for argument's sake, if a person showed up here looking like you, they'd surely be penniless. No way could anyone with genuine wealth dress so plainly. I get it. Plus, why on earth would a loaded individual fake being impoverished? It doesn't add up. Those with cash love displaying it. They crave the spotlight. Take my high-end customers. They always pull up in top-tier vehicles, decked out in fine attire and pricey accessories. Solid logic there. That's what makes me ace at this role, mother-in-law. I can spot folks right away. I figure out precisely who can splurge on what and adjust my approach accordingly. Just then, Estelle, my private aide, slipped into the shop quietly. Spotting me, she came over. "Ma'am, they're expecting you in the office," she mentioned, smiling warmly. Tiffany eyed her oddly. "Pardon me, and who might you be?" "I'm Miss Coleman's executive assistant," Estelle stated plainly. "And what connection does my mother-in-law have to your employer?" Estelle glanced my way, seeking my cue. I gave a subtle nod. "Your mother-in-law happens to be my employer." All the blood rushed from Tiffany's cheeks. The quiet after Estelle's statement hung thick in the air. Tiffany stared at me like I'd risen from the grave, her complexion shifting from ashen to sickly jade. "What? What exactly did you just say?" she stuttered, clutching the counter to steady herself. "What you just caught," Estelle answered coolly and professionally. "Marifina Coleman established and runs this entire line of stores. Tiffany whirled to confront me, her gaze bulging. No, impossible. You reside in that tiny flat. You pilot that ancient Honda. Your outfits, my $80,000 outfits. I cut in softly. The gown that irked you so deeply at my spouse's memorial service. $80,000. She echoed it blankly, struggling to absorb the info. The identical gown you dismissed as bargain bin junk. The very $12,000 heels you claimed resembled flea market finds. Her response tumbled out in ragged breaths. But I've been on your team for 2 years now. Correct. And over that span, I've fielded several complaints regarding your unprofessional conduct toward shoppers. Estelle retrieved a file from her bag. Shall I go over the details, ma'am? Go ahead, Estelle. I believe Tiffany ought to listen to what her managers have noted down about her. Tiffany collapsed into a close stool, utterly stunned. Incident from March 15th. Estelle started reading. A shopper reported that staff member Tiffany Albright disregarded her for 20 minutes, deeming her unsuitable for the store's clientele based on finances. No, that's not. Entry from April 22nd. A 60-year-old patron faced scorn and dismissal, steered solely to discounted goods without inquiry into her tastes or spending limits. Every entry landed like a harsh truth on Tiffany. Log from May 8th. Staffer observed spending 2 hours of work time on her cell phone, neglecting several patrons. I could clarify, she mumbled. Clarify what, Tiffany? I inquired, my tone steady yet laced with command. Will you justify publicly shaming me during my husband's burial? Or perhaps you'd rather account for declaring just now that you judge folks' worth purely by looks. Tears streamed down her face. Ma'am, I had no clue. Precisely. That's the issue, Tiffany. Your courtesy hinges on their bank accounts. You're polite only to those you assume are affluent. I stepped nearer, holding my poised yet commanding stance. So tell me, how would your actions at the funeral have shifted if you'd realized my true identity? I wouldn't have ever— You wouldn't have what? Exposed your real character, unveiled just how heartless and shallow you truly are inside. Tiffany broke into full sobs. Please, Miss Coleman, it was all a huge mix-up. I hold you in high regard, always have. You held me in regard 5 minutes back when you claimed I lacked the build or aura for fine garments. That was your honest view of your mother-in-law, the very woman who brought up the man you cherish. Her weeping grew louder. A few colleagues had started clustering nearby, keeping distance, but plainly sensing the gravity of the moment. Estelle, I directed my helper, mind sharing the final entry? Certainly. Note from earlier today. Staff member Tiffany Albright was caught on surveillance footage bad-mouthing a customer who proved to be her relative, breaching several firm confidentiality. And additionally, I pointed out that she had fabricated a fake promotion to wow her spouse and secured a mortgage using that deception. Tiffany's head snapped up. How are you aware of the mortgage? Tiffany, I possess all the essential details about my employees, particularly when they're related to me. Estelle went on. The audit reveals liabilities surpassing $60,000, spending that outstrips household earnings by 300%, along with several undisclosed payroll borrowings. Undisclosed, I echoed, which implies that, beyond all else, you've falsified your corporate financial records. Madam, I beg you, let me clarify it all. You required the funds to sustain a lifestyle beyond your means, to parade riches you lack while disparaging those who seem short on means. The twist was impeccable. Tiffany, the one who ridiculed my alleged impoverishment, was actually the penniless one. Tiffany, I stated, my tone turning icier still, I need you to grasp one crucial fact. It doesn't trouble me that you were unaware of my identity. What disturbs me is your conduct toward the individual you believed me to be. But, madam, what upsets me is that you deemed it fitting to degrade a 70-year-old bereaved wife at her partner's memorial service. And what irks me is that you gauge your esteem for fellow humans by the cost of their attire. That wasn't my aim. It wasn't your goal to expose your real nature, yet that's precisely what occurred. I shifted to face Estelle. Are the papers set? Indeed, madam. All is in order. Tiffany gazed at us, dread building in her eyes. What papers? Your dismissal forms, naturally. No, I implore you. This position is vital to me. We face bills, installments, the upcoming home. The home you're set to purchase using funds from a non-existent advancement. Please, Ms. Coleman, I promise to reform. I'll transform. You'll reform. You'll transform. I stepped closer once more. Tiffany, you're 32 now. If respect for others hasn't sunk in by your age, it's unlikely to do so presently. But it's my relatives. I'm your son's wife. Precisely. As my daughter-in-law, that renders your actions all the more inexcusable. Estelle passed me a dossier. The dismissal papers, madam. Appreciate it, Estelle. I accepted the dossier and displayed it to Tiffany. This is your dismissal notice. It takes effect right away. You can't proceed with this. It's vengeance from personal grudges. Personal vengeance. I chuckled lightly. Tiffany, this is merely enforcing company guidelines, mistreating clients, squandering work hours, deceit on formal paperwork, and numerous breaches of behavioral standards. But I require this role. My partner will. Your partner will discover plenty this day. I cut in, such as how his spouse regards his parent when she assumes no one significant is observing. Tiffany's weeping had escalated to frantic cries. Please, I'm pleading. Grant me another opportunity. You've already claimed your opportunity, Tiffany. You had it over 2 years on staff, and notably on the Memorial Day when you might have opted for empathy over malice. But you were ignorant. And that's the core issue. Your authentic self emerges when you believe there's no fallout. Estelle, I directed my aide as Tiffany kept weeping. Kindly summon security to guide the staff member from the premises. No, hold on, Tiffany cried out, rising in panic. It can't conclude this way. I'm kin. Kin acts with reciprocal regard, Tiffany. You chose to shatter that. I vow to improve. Offer me a final shot, like the shot you offered me at the memorial, like the regard you displayed by converting the darkest instant of my existence into your display of dominance. Tiffany neared me, hands folded in supplication, downright imploring. Ms. Coleman, consider Marcus. Consider your boy. If you strip my position, you'll destroy our union. I'll destroy your union. I regarded her with real astonishment. Tiffany, you wrecked your union the moment you opted to openly shame your partner's mother. But he'll despise me. He won't comprehend. Oh, he'll comprehend fully, particularly upon viewing the surveillance footage from this day. Her expression dropped more. Footage. Every remark you uttered about me, my outfits, my alleged absence of sophistication, every harsh remark you voiced on the call, assuming no key figure was attuned. Estelle stepped in quietly. Security approaches, madam. Excellent. I faced Tiffany again. You possess roughly 5 minutes to empty your storage and surrender your staff ID. This is misuse of authority. It's targeting kin. Misuse of authority. My tone sharpened. Tiffany, the misuse of authority happened when you shamed a 70-year-old lady before her whole kin, believing you'd escape repercussions. But you possess fortunes. I solely have this role. And whose doing is that? Did I compel you to exist beyond? What do you mean by that? Did I make you fabricate promotions that didn't exist? Did I push you to take out loans on the basis of illusions? Chloe, the young staff member who'd spoken with me before, came over hesitantly. Ma'am, is there anything you require? Yes, Chloe. Pay close attention to this. It's a vital lesson in why we must show equal courtesy to every customer, regardless of their appearance. Tiffany glared at me with utter contempt. You're planning to turn this into a teaching moment. Precisely. Your actions will make an ideal case study for our upcoming staff workshops on behaviors to avoid. This is embarrassing. Embarrassing. I let out a mirthless chuckle. Tiffany, You shamed me right at my husband's memorial service, in front of relatives, close acquaintances, and folks I'd known for years, and you did it just for amusement. I was merely attempting to assist her. Assist me. By labeling me tasteless and announcing to all that I resembled a beggar. The rest of the team had now clustered nearer, obviously captivated by the escalating confrontation. I could read on their expressions a blend of astonishment and, I have to say, a certain glee at witnessing repercussions for Tiffany's poisonous conduct. Miss Coleman, Diane, my manager, stepped in. Should we record this event to circulate to the other locations? That's a smart suggestion, Diane. Make it a cautionary tale about the fallout from abusing customers. Tiffany appealed to Diane in desperation. Diane, you realize I'm a solid performer. Speak up for me. Diane regarded her with a look that combined pity and regret. Tiffany, I've issued you several cautions regarding your demeanor toward patrons, particularly the senior women, but I never imagined. You never imagined what? That senior women merit dignity, that they could possess greater wealth than they seem to, that they might link to influential figures. That's not the issue. So what is it, Tiffany? I pressed bluntly. Share your worldview with me. Tell me why it's acceptable to demean those you view as lesser. I don't see them as lesser. Then why did you handle me like I was? Why? She halted, evidently unable to respond without revealing her real character. Because you believed you could get away with it unscathed, I finished for her. Because you assumed I was merely a destitute elderly woman without the strength to retaliate. At that instant, a pair of security officers showed up. Miss Coleman. Yes. Kindly accompany Miss Albright as she collects her things. She's terminated from employment here. Tiffany headed to her locker with drooping posture, shadowed by the guards. But prior to arriving, she spun around to face me once more. What will you say to Marcus? I'll convey the facts, Tiffany. I'll reveal precisely the kind of spouse you've been to him. He adores me. It won't matter to him. He won't mind that his partner disgraced his mother during his father's wake. He won't mind that you falsified your position to obtain financing. He won't mind that you plunged them into dire straits financially due to your delusions of superiority. Tiffany had nothing to say in response. While she emptied her locker, I turned to the staff who'd observed the entire scene. I need you all to grasp one crucial point, I declared. In my establishments, we regard each patron as the most valuable individual alive, no matter their attire or apparent wealth. They all agreed with serious nods. And do you understand the reason? Chloe raised her hand shyly. Because it's the proper course. Spot on, Chloe. Because it's ethical, yet also because we can never predict the true identity of the individual before us. Someone like you this afternoon. Another team member inquired. Like me this afternoon. But even more so, like any patron who enters these premises, every visitor warrants courtesy, warmth, and expert service. Estelle came back over to me. Ma'am, shall I set up a session with Marcus for later today? Yes, Estelle, my son needs to learn the full story. Tiffany, overhearing as she crammed items into a carton, dashed toward me. No, I beg you, don't inform Marcus. Allow me to clarify it for him. You'll just spin more deceptions. No, I'll disclose the reality. What reality, Tiffany? The reality of your treatment toward me. The reality of your obligations. The reality of the invented advancement. All of it. I'll confess everything. It's too late for that. You had 2 years to come clean. You had a chance to make amends post-funeral. You opted for deceit each time. The officers guided her to the doorway, lugging her carton. In the final second, she pivoted and shouted, "This isn't finished. I'll contest this." "By all means," I answered steadily. "It'll be fascinating to watch you justify your conduct before a court." A court. Absolutely, Tiffany. Slander, fostering a toxic workplace, falsifying corporate records. I've got sufficient proof to occupy you in legal battles for years. Her complexion drained to pallor as the guards at last removed her from the premises. With her departure, quiet enveloped the shop. The staff gazed at me with a blend of reverence, awe, and a touch of apprehension. "All right," I replied at last. "I believe we've all gained a crucial lesson from this experience." Diane stepped forward. "Ms. Coleman, should I contact HR to initiate the hiring for a replacement?" "Absolutely," I confirmed. "But I insist the next candidate undergoes a stricter vetting, particularly on ethics and client relations." "Understood." "And Diane," I added, "give Chloe a prompt advancement. Her conduct today was outstanding." Chloe's cheeks flushed as she offered a shy grin. "Thank you, Ms. Coleman." "Save your gratitude," I warned. "This step up means greater duties ahead." I departed the shop with an odd sense of hollowness. The payback I'd orchestrated was fulfilled, yet ahead lay the toughest challenge, informing my son why I'd ruined his spouse's job. That discussion could wait. Right now, I needed to assemble the proof I'd present to Marcus that same afternoon. Promptly at 5 p.m., Marcus showed up at my place, his features etched with worry. He'd gotten my urgent summons 2 hours prior, where I'd pleaded for him to visit because I had vital news about Tiffany. "Mom, what's going on?" Tiffany got home in tears, claiming she got wrongly dismissed and that you're involved somehow. "Take a seat, Marcus. The revelation I'm about to share will alter everything." My son settled onto the couch where he'd romped endlessly as a kid, seeking my guidance through his teen struggles. At 35 now, he appeared utterly bewildered. "Mom, Tiffany mentioned something bizarre. She insists you own the store she worked at. That can't be real, can it?" I drew in a steadying breath. "Marcus, throughout your whole existence, I've concealed the reality of our family's fortune. How so?" I rose and headed to my concealed office. "Follow me. It's time you discover your mother's true identity." As I swung open the concealed panel behind the bookcase, Marcus inhaled sharply. His look shifted from bewilderment to sheer amazement upon beholding my secluded workspace, brimming with corporate papers, agreements, and snapshots of my stores. "What does this all mean?" "This, son, represents the dynasty your father and I constructed across 4 decades. I presented the deeds for the 17 shops, the deals for the 3 fabric plants, and the account ledgers displaying sums beyond his wildest dreams. Mom, we're wealthy beyond measure. Indeed, Marcus, our prosperity is immense. We've held it for nearly your entire life. But why? Why live that way? Why keep silent?" "I desired you and Belle to mature grounded in genuine principles. I hoped you'd grasp the importance of diligence, modesty, and dignity toward everyone." Marcus sank into a seat. "It's unbelievable. This whole period you've allowed your authentic self to shine free from wealth's taint. And Dad was aware. Your father partnered with me in all matters. We jointly chose to withhold this until the right moment arose. And that moment was when you proved capable of shouldering the load, when you revealed your principles were solid." Marcus gazed at me, eyes mixing esteem with bitterness. "So how does this connect to Tiffany's dismissal?" That was the query I'd anticipated. I retrieved the dossier Estelle had compiled, packed with incriminating details. "Marcus, your spouse has toiled at one of my establishments for 2 years. In that span, she's consistently shown disdain for customers judged by looks alone." "That doesn't sound right." "No." I extracted the initial account. "It's recorded right here, how your wife overlooked a 60-year-old woman, deeming her unfit economically to browse the premises." Marcus scanned the page, brow furrowed. This has to be a mix-up." "A mix-up?" I withdrew the following file, and this, and this. Every entry sketched a vivid trail of bias and impropriety on the job. "But the core issue, Marcus, isn't her workplace actions. It's her treatment of me." "What did she do to you?" "During your father's memorial service, your wife chose to shame me openly over my outfit. She branded me tasteless, claimed I resembled a pauper. She ridiculed my attire before the entire clan." Marcus went pale. "Mom, Tiffany insisted to me it was just assistance. Assistance? Did you see it as aid when she labeled me pitiful, said I was disgracing the family, that I appeared destitute? Mom, I didn't. I figured she meant well. You deemed it acceptable for anyone to disrespect your mother that way, presuming her judgment on my supposed lowliness was spot on. No, that's not it. Then why didn't you stand up for me? Marcus offered no reply. Want to know another discovery from today? I pressed on, fetching the monetary records. Your wife has fabricated tales of an imaginary raise, that you both sought a home loan relying on anticipated earnings that never materialized. It was starting to come into focus. How could I be sure? Because I'm an entrepreneur, Marcus. Whenever anybody comes after me, I dig deep into who they are. I presented him with the paperwork outlining their outstanding loans, their lavish expenditures, and their dire money troubles. You've racked up more than $60,000 on credit cards. Your place rents for higher than Tiffany's full paycheck. You've kept asking for early paychecks over and over. Marcus covered his face with his palms. Oh man, your spouse has been putting on a total sham, acting rich when she's not, while mocking folks for seeming broke. So what's next? Now, Marcus, it's on you to figure out the sort of guy you aim to be. What are you getting at? Could you really support a lady who shamed your mom right at your dad's memorial? Or will you admit you wed somebody who doesn't align with your family's principles? Mom, she's my partner, and I'm your mom, the one who brought you up, instilled lessons on honor and integrity, who gave up plenty of luxuries so you could learn real morals. Marcus stayed quiet for ages. What should I do? I don't want you doing a thing, Marcus. I want you to choose for yourself now that you see the reality. And if I opt to stick with Tiffany, you'll just accept whatever follows from that. What fallout? The fallout from picking a partner who thinks it's fine to belittle seniors just for kicks. Marcus stood and headed to the glass. Everything I knew is crumbling. No, Marcus. The illusion you lived in is breaking down. This is your shot to create something genuine. Can you support me? I'll back you forever, my boy. But just if you show you're worth it, how? By proving the son I nurtured is still there, despite all your wife's poisonous sway. Marcus faced me, his eyes welling up. Mom, I'm truly sorry I didn't stand up for you back at the service. That's progress, Marcus. Next comes deciding whether you'll keep your vows to a woman who sees nothing wrong with abusing the defenseless. Marcus gave a slow nod. I need some space to reflect. Sure, but remember, Marcus, you can't delay forever on this. Certain choices demand action sooner or later. 2 days following my showdown with Marcus, my cell buzzed at 6 a.m. It was Belle, my girl, and she sounded utterly panicked. Mom, what's all this chaos? Marcus phoned me in tears past midnight, claiming you're loaded and Tiffany lost her position at your company. That's accurate. Morning, Belle. Yeah, it's real. How's that even possible? When did we get wealthy? Why keep it hidden? Belle, head over this morning. You deserve the full story now. Mom, this is blowing my mind. Marcus spilled about the shops, the cash, and Tiffany's behavior at Dad's burial. I can't wrap my head around it. Come over, that's why. Lots needs clearing up. 2 hours on, Belle sat in my den, poring over the identical files I'd shared with Marcus. Her response couldn't have contrasted more with her siblings. Mom, why hold back your faith in us? I did believe in you, Belle. I figured you'd turn out strong without wealth twisting you. But our lives could have been nicer. I might have attended an elite college, seized greater chances. Would you still be you today? Belle stopped, pondering. Not sure. Actually, yes, you would. You'd have matured amid perks you took for granted, nursing an arrogance that could have ruined you inside. But see what befell Marcus. He picked an awful partner who looks down on us all. That's precisely it, Belle. Marcus went for Tiffany, even believing we were ordinary folks. It signals something in him worth scrutinizing. Like what? Maybe he drew to her exactly for the prestige and polish he thought he missed. Belle knit her brows. That's insightful, Mom. I've spent 70 years watching how people tick, sweetheart. And my path. What about the decisions I've made? I grinned. You went into teaching young kids. You serve families with tight budgets. You wed a solid guy who's in education too. Your priorities are spot on. So I'm set to take on all this now. You and Marcus stand to get it all, but solely if you demonstrate you can handle it wisely. And should Marcus decide to remain with Tiffany, that's the key puzzle, Belle. Right then, my phone chimed. Estelle, my aide, was on the line. Miss Coleman, Tiffany Albright's at the headquarters. She insists on seeing you right away. Tiffany's showing up. Yes, ma'am. She's worked up and vows to stay put till you talk. I glanced at Belle. Fancy encountering your brother's wife in truer colors. How so? Tiffany's at my workplace, likely pleading to reclaim her spot. Count me in. I want to join you. Ideal. Time for you to witness precisely the wife of the man your sibling wed. 60 minutes afterward, Belle and my daughter and I stepped into my top-floor suite at the headquarters of my firm. It was a realm my offspring had yet to explore. Polished stone tiling, towering glass panes offering a sweeping vista of the urban landscape, upscale furnishings, and authentic paintings on the walls. Wow, Mother, Belle murmured softly. This is stunning. 4 decades of relentless effort, my dear. Estelle greeted us downstairs. She's waiting in the reception area. She's been holding out since 8 a.m. today. Did she mention anything? Just that she wants to discuss a grave wrong with you, and she refuses to budge until you've heard her out. Excellent. Bring her to my suite in 5 minutes' time. Belle and I got comfortable in the room, me at the imposing walnut desk, her in an armchair positioned to watch every moment unfold. As Estelle guided Tiffany inside, the shift in her demeanor was unmistakable. Gone was the haughty, confident figure from the memorial service. Now dark shadows ringed her eyes. Her cosmetics were streaked, and her outfit looked rumpled, like she'd spent the night in it. Miss Coleman, she launched right in. I appreciate you granting me this meeting. I realize I committed serious errors, but please grasp my circumstances. Take a seat, Tiffany. That's when her gaze landed on Belle. Belle, why are you present? Greetings, Tiffany. I'm here to discern folks' authentic natures. Tiffany's cheeks reddened, yet she refocused on me. Ma'am, I've arrived to plead for another opportunity. I acted poorly, I admit, but I'm capable of reform. I can transform. You believe you can alter yourself. Absolutely, in every way. I can become someone new. Tiffany, explain precisely what you consider your misdeeds. For starters, I shouldn't have badmouthed you on the job. That's the main issue. Also, I ought not to have checked my phone while on duty. Nothing more. Tiffany paused briefly. And arriving tardily wasn't right. Belle and I shared a knowing look. Clearly, Tiffany grasped none of the depth to her offenses. Tiffany, I continued with measured calm, and the memorial service. The memorial. Indeed, my spouse's farewell. Do you remember any particular moments from it? I intended to assist with your public persona. Assist me how? By suggesting ways to improve your attire. Belle cut in. Tiffany, do you genuinely view shaming someone openly as aid? I didn't shame her at all. I was simply truthful. There you have it, I remarked to Belle. The core issue. She fails to see any fault in her actions. But I can improve, Tiffany urged in anguish. I'll enroll in etiquette courses. I'll seek counseling. I'll do anything required. And what drives you to such efforts? Because I desperately need this position. We're drowning in debt. The home we dreamed of purchasing. Marcus will despise me if we forfeit it all due to my folly. Fascinating, I observed quietly. Not a word about regretting the pain you inflicted on me. Naturally, I regret it. Is that sorrow for wounding me or merely for the fallout affecting you? Tiffany's lips parted, but silence followed. That's a crucial distinction, Tiffany. I regret causing you pain. When exactly did that regret surface? During the service when you labeled me tasteless or after discovering my true identity. Tears welled in Tiffany's eyes. Please, Miss Coleman, don't condemn me forever over a single error. A single error. Belle rose from her seat. You labeled degrading a 70-year-old bereaved woman at her partner's burial as mere oversight. Belle, I beg you. No, Tiffany. You've shared a marriage with my brother for 2 years, yet you've never once displayed sincere regard for my mom. That's inaccurate. I retrieved another file from my drawer. These accounts from 3 relatives' events detail your belittling remarks on my preferences, my wardrobe, my residence. Those were merely offhand remarks, offhand words that exposed your actual disdain for me. Tiffany appealed to Belle in desperation. Belle, speak to your mom. Convince her to offer me redemption. Why on earth would I, Tiffany? Because as my husband's sister, you're kin. We share bonds. Family honors one another with dignity, Belle countered steadily, a concept that always eluded you. But I'm willing to adapt. At 32 years of age, I inquired. Tiffany, if fundamental courtesy toward people hasn't sunk in by now, it never will. That's unjust. Unjust. I rose from behind the desk and drew near. Do you know true injustice, Tiffany? A 70-year-old enduring open scorn amid her deepest grief. Or consider this, my staff forced to collaborate with a colleague who routinely undermines their self-worth. I never what? Never informed your coworkers that some patrons didn't fit in the shop. Tiffany went quiet. Never judged individuals' worth by mere looks. Deeper hush. Tiffany, the issue isn't isolated slip-ups. It's that your conduct unveiled your inherent self. My core self can evolve. No, Tiffany, habits might shift for self-interest, but your essence is set. She collapsed then, weeping without restraint. In that case, there's no help I can offer. Actually, there is one thing you can try. She raised her gaze, a spark of optimism in her eyes. What's that? You could come clean with Marcus about your true self. How exactly? You might confess that you wed him thinking you could shape him into what you wanted, that you always viewed his relatives as beneath you, that you fabricated details about your career to win him over. That's inaccurate? Hardly. So why didn't you ever bring Marcus to your office gatherings if your success was as impressive as you boasted? Tiffany had no reply. Why keep me away from your superiors if you were on such great terms with them? Dead quiet. And why invent a promotion that was pure fiction? I just wanted Marcus to admire me. Did insulting his mom somehow achieve that? At last, Tiffany realized she was cornered. Tiffany, I replied in a steady tone that held no malice. I'm offering you a final chance to handle this with some grace. What are you getting at? Head home, have a serious talk with Marcus, and lay out the full story. Your real identity, your actions, and the reasons behind them. And if I follow through, you'll reinstate my position. No. Her expression crumpled. Then why bother? Because it's the honorable path, Tiffany. After ages, you get to choose something purely because it's moral. But I need employment. You'll land another role eventually, though none of my firms will ever hire you. What if Marcus walks away? That's his call, once he knows every detail. Tiffany stood up gradually, utterly beaten. You got the upper hand, Ms. Coleman. You've ruined me utterly. No, Tiffany, you brought that on yourself. I just declined to stay silent and suffer. Once she departed, Belle and I lingered in quiet for a few moments. Mom, Belle ventured at last, do you believe Marcus will end things with her? I'm not sure, sweetheart, but I truly hope he does. If not, it means I didn't raise the son I imagined. That evening, Marcus rang. His tone sounded shattered, exhausted. Mom, Tiffany confessed it all to me. Every bit. The deceptions about her work, the debts she concealed, her real opinions of our kin. She revealed one more thing, too. What was it? She admitted that throughout our whole marriage, she never considered you worthy of me. A pang hit my chest. I understand. Mom, forgive me for being so oblivious. I regret letting you down right when you needed support most. So Marcus, what's your next move? It's already done. I requested a divorce. Relief mingled with sorrow washed over me. How are you holding up? Wrecked, yet strangely free, like shedding a burden I never realized I bore. That's to be expected, my boy. Can I visit you tomorrow? There's a lot I need to discuss. Absolutely, Marcus, anytime. The following day, both my kids gathered in my living room, now fully clued in on our family's realities. After years of hidden truths, it felt odd to have it all exposed. Mom, Marcus began, I need to offer a proper apology, not only for failing to stand by you at the funeral, but for every year I took your sacrifices for granted. Me too, Belle chimed in, for doubting your choice to hide the secret. I get it now. You handed us something priceless beyond cash. You instilled true principles. Your regrets are noted and forgiven, though they weren't required. You both responded based on what you knew then. So, where do we go from here? Marcus wondered. Now, I responded, rising to approach my desk. It's time you discovered your legacy. I presented the papers I'd drafted long before, splitting my holdings evenly between them with clear stipulations attached. Marcus, you'll take over the shops and fabric plants, but there's a catch. What's that? You must commit 5 years to the company, beginning at the entry level, mastering every facet as a retail clerk on the floor. I need you to grasp handling diverse patrons, gaining staff loyalty, and constructing success through effort. Marcus inclined his head gravely. I agree. Belle, the properties and portfolio investments will be yours, but your requirement varies. What's yours? Dedicate a substantial share of it to launching nonprofits, particularly for schooling underprivileged kids. Tears welled in Belle's eyes. Mom, that's ideal, but you share one unbreakable rule. What's that? They queried together. Never wield your fortune to demean anyone. This wealth carries the duty to elevate lives, not diminish them. Naturally, Mom, Marcus affirmed, and should I ever find you're leveraging your status to shame or degrade others, you'll forfeit it all on the spot. Got it, they replied together. 6 months on, I was at my desk going over the latest financial summaries when Estelle entered carrying a grin lit up her features. Ma'am, you've got a guest. Who might that be? It's Marcus, though I reckon you'd better check it out yourself. Marcus stepped into my workspace, but he wasn't the same Marcus I'd recognized before. He sported the outfit of a sales associate from the shop downstairs. There was a fresh spark in his gaze and an authentic beam on his lips. Hi, Mom. Got a sec to chat with one of your staffers? Absolutely. How's your initial month on the job treating you? It's the toughest gig I've ever tackled, yet also the most rewarding. Share the details. The day before last, I assisted a lady who entered looking quite plain. She was a widow, just like you, and it was obvious she wasn't flush with cash. My former habits urged me to steer her toward the discount racks, so what happened instead? I offered her the full VIP experience, same as any customer. I guided her through every corner of the place, highlighted the craftsmanship, and ensured she felt like the center of attention. She picked out a $50 scarf, but Mom, the joy beaming from her was beyond value. She shared that it had been ages since a shop had shown her such warmth. My chest filled with a rush of accomplishment. And that stirred what in you? It hit me that I'd finally grasped the principles you and Dad spent years instilling in me. Right then, I realized choosing this path was spot on. The grief from Elias's memorial, the embarrassment in the spotlight, the downfall of Tiffany's professional life, it all paid off to arrive here. Marcus, I said, your dad would be beaming at the person you've grown into. Are you proud of me too? More than words can say. He circled my desk and clasped my hands. Mom, one more thing I need to share. What's that? Thanks for stopping me from remaining wed to someone who disrespected you. Thanks for showing me that authentic affection means standing up for those you cherish, particularly when they're vulnerable. Oh, and Tiffany. I hear she's now employed at a big retail chain. Word is she's facing money troubles, but that's on her, not me. Does that bother you these days? I regret the years I wasted ignoring who she really was, but I have no remorse over the outcomes of her choices. 3 months on, a surprise ring came in. Tiffany was on the line. Miss Coleman, I get that you might not wish to speak with me, but I had to express my gratitude. Grateful for what? For delivering the toughest truth I've ever faced, for proving that choices lead to tangible results. So, Tiffany, what's the takeaway for you? That courtesy isn't tied to wealth. That real poise stems from your interactions with others, above all those who offer nothing in return. I'm pleased to hear it, Tiffany. I understand forgiveness isn't owed, but it's good to know my actions helped shape you for the better. I truly do regret the hurt I inflicted. I ended the call with total serenity washing over me. The payback had its thrill, but the deepest fulfillment arose from safeguarding the principles my husband and I had nurtured across decades. That evening, gazing at the dusk from my office window, Elias crossed my mind. "Darling," I murmured, "I've mastered standing my ground, and our kids will thrive." True fairness had come, not merely as retribution, but as a profound teaching, the ultimate insight of it all. Enjoyed my tale. And from which town are you tuning in? Drop by in the comments to connect. If the story resonated, consider a super thanks to help me craft more narratives like this. Your kind backing means the world. Can't wait for your thoughts below. Check out the 2 fresh personal accounts on screen that I suggest. My channel's packed with even more. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Catch you for the upcoming tale, warmly and respectfully.